Hello everyone, Joe Neat here, executive producer on Sea of Thieves with another weekly dev update for everyone. So cargo runs are a new addition to the game this week, which is going to be really interesting to bring in a new type of voyage for the Merchant Alliance. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this affects just play dynamics out in the world, because not only will players be able to take on these cargo runs for the Alliance, that's going to give them quests to do, it's going to give them different cargo to transport across the world with all of the gameplay that brings in, with the rum bottles, with the plants, with the kind of exotic cloths and how you have to keep them not damaged or you have to keep them wet or dry. If you manage to take a cargo off someone else's ship, it'll have the destination on there so you'll know where you need to take it. But also the people whose cargo that previously was will also know where they were heading with that cargo. So they might well head there to try and cut you off. And it's going to be really interesting just to see the stories that play out from those kind of encounters. So really excited to see how this comes into the world. And also just from a kind of perspective of what does it do to the Merchant Alliance? Do we see more people taking on quests with them? And do we see the numbers kind of going up with the Merchant Alliance a bit more than they have been? So really interesting all up. And so hoping everybody gets to enjoy that and looking forward to everyone's feedback. So since launch, we've been assessing how things have been going, what's been going well, but what can also be improved. And I think some of the stuff that's been going great is we've managed to release a ton of content into the game, and that was obviously a big driver for us at launch. It's been great to see how much that has grown and how much the game has evolved. But alongside that, we also know that the pace we've been going, the process we've had with the weekly updates, there have been times when we've been introducing bugs into the game which we've had to react to. And for us, it's been about looking at that, assessing it and going, what process changes can we make to ensure that we can still keep delivering great content to people, but also making sure we get the time to test, we get the time to assess, and also we get to the time to use pioneers to give feedback, so that when we do release updates, we've gone through that feedback process with pioneers, we've also identified any bugs and fixed them so that we have much more confidence in the updates that are going out to our players and we're not introducing those game-breaking bugs to people. So recently, Forsaken Shores was a good example of us releasing a major content update and having it go out there, using pioneers to get feedback and also to identify any bugs prior to release. So when we did release it, it was a fairly smooth process for everyone. And so that was great. That was a real good test of the approach and really gives us confidence that that approach is right moving forward. So what that means for updates moving forward is we want to move away from our previously established kind of weekly update process because ultimately, that pace that we were going and that releasing weekly updates, a lot of the time, unless we were doing like a major content update or releasing a build rat adventure, like what was contained in some of those weekly updates, really there wasn't enough player value to justify doing it. And so really what happened is we'd take the game down for a number of hours, like once a week, people wouldn't be able to play, the servers would be offline, and then we'd release an update and we might have introduced a bug just for the, really just as part of our keeping the game updated on a weekly basis. And so we want to move away from that and really focus on only updating the game when we're actually going to be delivering significant player value to people. And so that means when we want to release a major content update like Curse Sails or Forsaken Shores, when we want to release a build rat adventure, or if there's any real kind of quality of life game improvements, or if there's any bugs that we really want to fix, that's when we would then go and do a targeted release to our players. But what it means is that we won't be taking the game down just as a matter of course every week. So there'll be more time for people to play. And when we do release updates, we're going to make sure we build in more testing time, more feedback time from pioneers, and ultimately the players are going to be getting better value when we do decide to make updates to the game. So what this means is we still want to deliver content as regularly as we have planned and we have been previously doing in the past. But it's those kind of in-between weekly updates where we weren't really delivering player value. Those are the ones that we're looking at and we're going, the process around us releasing them, the time it takes across all of the team in all of the studio, the fact that we weren't getting enough time to test all of those updates as thoroughly as we wanted. It just means that those releases weren't of enough value and they didn't come with little enough risk really for us to justify continuing to do them. So one of the things that's really important for us moving forward is ensuring that we continue to use pioneers to test the game on a really regular basis. And so that means testing for feedback, so getting versions of new features, new updates into their hands and seeing how they land and taking feedback, but also making sure that we keep an eye on the build as it keeps updating and that we're catching any game-breaking bugs prior to actually releasing it to the wider audience. So that's going to be a really important part of the process, and we've got some plans plans around the Pioneer kind of program itself. We want to make it easier to get into the program because we know that there's quite a lot of people out there that currently don't have access to it and have been contacting us and asking how do we get in. So we're making some improvements on that. And we also want to have rewards for taking part in the Pioneer program because obviously it's hugely valuable for us to have pioneers out there who are giving us feedback and helping us test the game. And we want to make sure that there are rewards in place for people who are taking part in that. So we don't have the concrete details to share on that just yet because we're still working through the kind of changes to that program. But as soon as it's much closer to be updated, we'll update you in a future weekly video. But yeah, Pioneers is a super important part of the whole process of releasing Sea of Thieves, of testing it, of ensuring we deliver a great experience that also functions and works as expected when we get it out to that wider audience. So, thanks to everybody that's taken part so far, and obviously thanks for all of the future support and help that everybody gives us with the Pioneer program. So what this means is, with the change to this process, is that we're now releasing the Cargo Runs build because that's a build that we've identified that has a lot of player value, has got a new quest type that we want to deliver to people. But then the next update we're working towards that we believe has player value and is worth releasing is the Festival of the Damned. And so that's our next build rat adventure. And we teased a little bit of this at New York Comic Con, so you'll be able to see some of the details around this when we get the New York Comic Con panel video out, which will be coming soon. But that's going to be our next planned update. And so obviously, if we identify anything between then, if we identify any bugs that we want to fix, or if there's any real quality of life improvements to the game, then our plan might change. But right now, that is our plan. So Cargo Run builds gets released, and then we're heading towards the Festival of the Damned. So that means with our Pioneers, we're going to be starting testing elements of Festival of the Damned with the Pioneers soon, so that we can gain confidence that the gameplay experience is good and that there aren't any kind of untoward issues in there that would slip through into the general audience. Without giving too much away, the Festival of the Damned is going to be a really cool update, and it's really about a festival in the world of Sea of Thieves that celebrates the ferryman and the ability that he has to kind of return everyone to the land of the living. And so we're really looking forward to sharing some more details about that with you soon. And obviously recently we went to New York Comic Con, and going to any panels like this or conventions is genuinely just the favourite part of working in this industry, I think, because not only do you get to go and talk about the game and share details, but you get to meet the players and the community and the fans of the stuff that you're working on. And so hearing the stories and the tales about how playing this game has affected people's lives in positive ways, and has brought people together, whether that's, partners, it's husbands, it's wives, or it's families, it's parents playing with their kids and maybe they're in far-flung places together. You just get to hear all of these amazing stories, and it really is a privilege to work on a game like Sea of Thieves that has that impact on people, and it gives you so much incentive and motivation to come back to the studio and continue to bring awesome new things to the game. So thanks to everybody that we met there, thanks to everyone that had the questions for us, and to the people that just told us their stories. It's genuinely a privilege, and so thanks so much. It was an amazing experience, and really looking forward to getting the video out there as well for everybody who couldn't attend, so you can see a lot of the stuff that we talked about and some of the questions we answered. And finally, for New York Comic Con, thanks so much to the 4 very, very brave volunteers who came up and took part in the little singing competition that we had to sing Merrick Rolled, which was one of the songs that we've kind of put into the game as a little player commemoration. And they all won a signed copy of the Sea of Thieves novel. And yeah, their performance was amazing, and it really livened up the panel. It was really great that people stepped up to do that. So thanks very much to those guys. So wrapping up, we spend a lot of time listening to feedback, listening to sentiment across our community, and so making a change to how we release the game to players, how we make sure that we test, how we make sure we work with pioneers, and that we don't introduce these kind of bugs into the game in future is a super important thing for us, and we believe it's absolutely fundamentally the right decision for Sea of Thieves moving forward. We're as passionate as ever about releasing awesome new content to you, but just improving the process that we go around doing it is a really important part of Sea of Thieves moving forward. And we know that there's a lot of people out there that are very passionate about to hear what's coming next for Sea of Thieves. So in a weekly update video coming soon, I plan to give everyone an update on our future content plans for Sea of Thieves. Because we have some really exciting plans coming for this year and for next. And there's so many exciting things going on across the studio that we really want to talk about it. But we also want to talk about it in the right way and at the right time. So we're just kind of in the middle of figuring that out. But yeah, there's a lot of exciting things to come for Sea of Thieves. And so in a lot of ways, like the journey, even though we've been working on the game for a while and we're now 6 months into our service, like this journey is still in its early stages. There's so far and so many places that we want to take this. So thanks for being on the journey with us so far, and thanks for continuing to come on that journey with us. And I think that's it for me. So I will see you in next week's video, and obviously I'll see you out on the seats. Cheers.
Thank you very much for watching. If you want to stay up to date with everything Sea of Thieves, then subscribe to our channel and click that little ship's bell for all those notifications. Cheers. Don't worry, I'll just wait here. I'm not doing much anyway. Couple of good videos there if you want to watch.